Hey, I'm back, and this is the last in my series of modal harmony. So we finally moved on to the Locrian Mode, or Locrian Mode, I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, it's the 7th mode of the major scale, and it's probably the strangest and least commonly used. But first, let's go over it. So it starts with C, the root, which I always start with, and then the flat second, the flat third, the natural fourth, the perfect fourth, the flat fifth, the flat sixth, the flat seventh, and then back to the root. So altogether it's... So as you can hear, this is kind of a strange mode. This has a really dark and unresolved quality. People often don't use this because it sounds like it wants to quickly move to something else. It's almost too dark. The times you do use it, it's usually used in like maybe heavy metal music or something, because this tritone here, like the C and the G flat, kind of make that kind of dissonant sound. And the same thing with the C and the B flat. Or sorry, the C and the D flat. So those kind of give a dark quality. So oftentimes when you hear them, they're used in like riffs and things. But I'll try to talk a little bit about the harmony of it. One of the problems with the harmony is that the chord that it's built on is unstable. So most other modes are either built on major chords, like C major, or minor chords. But the Locrian mode is the only mode that it's built on a diminished triad. So it's like this. Or like this. So you can hear this kind of has a harsh biting sound that sounds like it wants to resolve. And so one of the good things about this is it's very easy to define this mode. So the two characteristic notes are the flat fifth and the flat second. So, which was G flat and D flat in the key of C. I'll show you some chords that define it. In fact, many chords you can just play the diminished triad, and that will itself somewhat define the modality. So just C diminished. Another one that's really common that you'll see in lots of places, but it's not used for modal harmony so much, is just the C minor 7 flat 5. So this chord. So that's a really nice chord, but it's kind of hard to stay on that for a long time. It usually sounds like it wants to keep moving forward with the harmony. So usually you'd see it in like a minor 2-5-1 like this. But we don't want to do that because that's a minor sound, not a Locrian sound. I'll try to show you some other sounds that don't have that kind of progression to them. First, I thought I'd show you a very simple one. This is G flat with C in the bass. So you can play it like this. So you can see that kind of has an interesting sound, and it doesn't sound like it immediately wants to switch to another chord. And there's another way to play it also. You could play it like this down here. So those are two different ways to play it. Use whichever one is easier for you, or whichever one suits the situation. So that's a good one for the Locrian mode. But the next one I'll show you is a little bit strange. It's actually a C sus flat 5 flat 7. I know that's a mouthful, and it's probably, if you're reading it on the screen, it probably looks really strange, but that's what it is. I'll just show you here. It kind of has a strange sound. It's very dark, but it doesn't have that pull like a C minor 7 flat 5 does. So this is a kind of cool one if you really want to define the modality and you're looking for kind of like a new sound or something, you know, dark for just one chord. That's a really cool one. As a variation, instead of playing the F note at the top, you can play the E flat. So it's the same thing, just take one of your fingers off and put the other one, the middle finger, down, like this. So you can kind of move between those or choose whichever one you like better. The next one is somewhat easier. It's a E minor 7 with a C in the bass, if you're in the key of C Locrian, or the modality of C Locrian. So I'm going to play the E minor 7 up here. I'm going to play this just with my pinky finger here. And then C here. So something like this. That's also one that's not too difficult to play, and it sounds, I don't know if it sounds good, but it sounds interesting at least. You know, add some spice to your life, use some of these chords. And the last ones I'm going to show you are actually built off some of those Holdsworth voicings I showed you in the other videos. So it uses those and it puts the C in the bass. So one of the ones I showed you before was the 1-2-4 voice, or 1-2-5 voicings, I'm sorry. So like this. And then I use my ring finger to play the C. So altogether it sounds like this. And another variation you can do is the same thing, except instead of using the 1-2-5 voicing, use the 1-4-5 voicing. So same thing, just and then put the C in the bass. So altogether it sounds like this. So you can switch between those however you like, or choose whichever sound you like better, but those are really dark voicings, and if you're looking for something new and interesting, try those. I think you'll enjoy them. Moving on to progressions, there's not so many. I couldn't find some. I looked, I tried to come up with some of my own, but like I said, this is a tough one to use, but I'll show you a few that you might get some use out of. The main one, I think, is just that G flat over C voicing like this, and then going to the A flat over C, so this. So if I put them together, something like this. So you kind of get the idea. That's a little bit dark, but it always sounds dark. It's Locrian mode. Another thing you can do is use quartal voicings. I think I probably explained this before. So if we're in the modality of C Locrian, it would just be this. So those are all so-called quartal voicings. They're built off fourths. So one thing you can do is, if you have a bass player, or you have an extra string or something playing bass down here like that, you can use these kinds of voicings. So one is use the second voicing in that series. So it would, in this case in C, it would be this, that, but I'm going to move this up and transpose it so you can hear the bass with E. So if we move it up and do the same thing, the second voicing would be here on F, so it would look like this. And then put the E in the bass. It's a fairly sinister voicing. And you can do this and move it around between different voicings and things, so I could do something like this, for example. Of course, you can move to any of the other quartal voicings or chords, as you see fit, but that's just an example of something you can do. And last but not least, one thing you can do is use some of those, I call them Holdsworth voicings, but they're just the 1-2-5 and 1-4-5 voicings. And as always, I'll show you how to do that. If you're not sure about these voicings, check out the other lesson. I go into more detail on how to do it there. There you go. Those are some ways to use the Locrian mode. Hopefully you'll find your own thing with this. To be honest, this is a really difficult one to use to make a whole song out of. But one of the things I really didn't talk about, but I should get across, is these things, you don't have to use these for the whole song. Sometimes you can just use them for an interesting part, or just a chord with some spice to it, or, you know, just maybe a bridge section, or, you know, an intro or something interesting for your song. I hope you can use this. I hope you found this lesson and the other lessons useful. Although this is technically the end of the series, I'll try to add one more video to show you how you can add these to songs to kind of spice them up. Hopefully you'll enjoy that and look forward to that. And I'll be coming out with lots of new videos. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, etc. And let's have a good 2016. See you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, please remember to thumbs it up, check out some of my other videos below, and don't forget, subscribe. Thanks. Bye.